Hello, my name is Raphael from xxRafael Productions, and today I am reviewing Green Day's latest album, Father of All. Now, I know it's been released for a while now, but I haven't really had the time to create this video until right now, so I'm going to be talking about the new album and also my personal thoughts on it. So, prior to making this video, I actually had a discussion with my best friend on Reddit, and we both had similar opinions, and unfortunately, when it comes to talking about Father of All, it is utter trash. Now, I know I'll explain my reasons before I make such a bold statement, because I know most of you subscribers are certain that I am a fan of Green Day, and me saying this about one of their albums is pretty damn surprising, isn't it? So I'm gonna go ahead and explain my reasons why I think Father of All is one of the worst, if not the worst, Green Day album I have listened to. Yes, even worse than the trilogy itself, and I will explain why as well. So now, what exactly is Father of All? So, I'm going to read a billboard here, which Green Day themselves have described as no features, no Swedish songwriters, no trap beats, and 100% pure uncut rock. Green Day, Father of All is out now. So, just reading this billboard in general, it's not only does it sound absolutely pretentious and downright irritating, but it's even the advertising itself, it's not as engrossing, you know what I mean? So, from this point on, I will talk about the album cover later, because that's also going to be part of why I say that advertising is pretty weak. But I guess that's to be expected when it comes to a weak album anyway. So, moving on to the individual tracks themselves, my god. So, let's go ahead and start with the first single, which is Father of All. So, take away the rest of the tracks for now. We're going to be talking about the first single they released. That is the title track itself, Father of All. And I was excited to hear it the first time it dropped. And when I heard it, I was immediately profoundly disappointed, because after coming off from Revolution Radio, which it's quite unpopular, I've seen some people debate that Green Day went downhill after American Idiot, or even after Dookie, which I think is utterly ridiculous because they have evolved and produced many great music since then. However, when it comes to Revolution Radio, I actually loved that album, which I know some people say it's a weak album, but I personally loved it. Revolution Radio had some great songs like Outlaws. We had Somewhere Now, Forever Now, Still Breathing, Youngblood, and especially Bang Bang. Though that was good. Those songs were great. So, coming off Revolution Radio, I'm sure you people will guess what I'm about to say. I was very excited for their next album. So, hearing the first single threw me off guard completely, because not only does Green Day sound so different from they did before, but it's not even a good difference. So I understand, like, example, we came from Nimrod to Warning, for example, so that is an example of great evolution. Like, they evolved their sound and the result is good. In this case, however, because the song is so bad, I was taken aback, and not in a good way, because I was expecting something great after Revolution Radio. So let's go ahead and explain why. Like, first of all, where do I even start with this song? Okay, starting from Billy's awful vocals all the way to the actual rhythm itself. It's like, I know they're trying to experiment, but it's just not good. Not only is the song not good, but for an album that claims to so-called revolutionize rock music, certainly they didn't do so well. Coming off that picture, there is also a lot of baffling and just cringy lyrics on this album. Like, here's a great example from Take the Money and Crawl. Keep in mind, these are late 40s or so people writing that, and Billy actually thought that these lyrics were good enough for a song. Like, let that sink in. They had a joint effort in writing these songs, and for whatever reason, they decided, yep, that is going in the song, baby. We don't care. Let's put it right in there. And oh my god, it is just so cringy to listen to, and even just reading it already. But anyway, that's enough about the title track, so let's get that out of the way now and move on to the next track itself. That is Fire Ready Aim. So, At first, I was under the impression that the vocals used in the first song will only be used on some songs. I thought the rest of the album will be somewhat better, but boy was I wrong, because was Fire Ready Aim even worse when I heard it. Like, not only is the bass line non-existent, but it has been replaced with this awful clapping sound. Like, see that I mean? Like, they had that seemingly throughout the entire song, which again, it does not work. I mean, like, the last time I listened to it, I hated it, and then I did not have the feeling to come back and listen to it again, because I honestly didn't want to hear that ever again. Like, I mean, like, by that point, my hopes for this album being good was already going down, and I wasn't really anticipating the next release, which the next song was Oh Yeah, which honestly, I don't know why they decided to, like, they remixed Gary Glitter's song, which I don't know why in 2019 or 2020 would you want to do a remix with anything involving Gary Glitter. But just like the first two singles, this was also a jumbled mess, which sounds excruciating to even listen to. I mean, like, just like Fire Ready Aim and even the title track, I had no desire to come back to it again. So already we have three songs which have been disappointing and also are containing that ugly vocals which Billy decided to use throughout this album. Like, trust me, when I say that it's throughout the album, he has that effect pretty much 95% of the album. Like, the only songs that don't seem to have that are probably either Sugar Youth or I Was a Teenager, but even that is a stretch, because those two seem to also contain that kind of vocal stuff. I mean, like, I know he's using falsetto, but when it comes to this kind of record, it just didn't sound too well. So now that we have those three tracks aside, let's go ahead and get straight to the album cover before we begin the rest of the songs, because oh man, the album cover is just like this. Yo! And there you have it. That is the album cover of Father of All. I mean, like, just looking at it, it's not only lazily designed, but they basically took the American Idiot album cover and they disgraced this album cover with that horrible, ugly font. And not only does it look like it's done with MS Paint, like, I could have done a far better job designing the album cover, but the unicorn that is on the bottom right sure isn't doing it any favors either. Like, one of the worst album covers I have seen. Definitely the worst Green Day album cover to date. Like, I mean, I know that there's Green Day's album covers are not known for like being so deep or grandiose, but at least it shows they put some effort into it. But this one is just, oh man, like, I mean, take a look at how they disgraced the American Idiot album cover. It's like I don't know what they were intending to do, or how it even relates to the album as a whole. I mean, like, just a bunch of nonsense splattered all over the screen, I guess. I mean, like, if I had to take a guess, I would probably say that they're trying to show that they're having fun and they just don't care. Because, I mean, the rest of the album does give that kind of vibe, like, as a party type of vibe. But, I mean, I'm not saying the songs are good, because they're not, but the vibe of the overall sound, I guess, that's what they're trying to capture. It's just a guess, but basically that's the album cover, which I know I'm on the subreddit a lot, and I have seen mixed opinions on this, but mostly negative, which thankfully I can say this, because I know that I won't get too much disagreement when I say that this album cover is a mess. Like, it's just a joke. Take a look at it. It's just like a freaking joke right here. But getting into the more important part, this is about the actual sound of Green Day. So let's be honest here. So if we hear a Green Day song playing somewhere, it's like, bam, you instantly know that's Billy Joe Armstrong. If I hear another song, I know that's a Green Day, because their sound is unique. They have a certain type of sound that you just know that it is a Green Day track, and that's pretty cool. So with this album, however, because the sound is so different, I never would have guessed in a million years that this was a Green Day record. Like, if you made me listen to it with no context whatsoever, I would have thought it was from a different band. Now, I'm gonna clear up some misconceptions because you might be saying that I'm trying to imply that them changing their sound is a bad thing, which let me correct you right now because no, the entire point of a band to change their music is to evolve. So that is not the issue here. The problem, the real problem, is that the resulting factor of them trying to change the sound is that they produce this disjumbled, uninspired mess of an album named Father of All, which, as I said before, that the tracks are just not good. So that is the real issue. It's the execution. But their idea of them trying to change their sound is not a bad thing. In fact, that's a good thing because I've heard people say stuff like, "Oh, I miss the Kerplunk, I miss the Dookie, and oh, every other damn album after American Idiot is so terrible. Oh, I'm so edgy." Like I've heard people express that opinion many times in the subreddit, which that is the point of a band. It's like they don't always play the same thing over and over. That is the whole point, or else eventually you will complain that they always sound the same. So what Green Day tried to do is actually a good thing, but the resulting factor was absolutely terrible. That is the real problem. But them people saying that they're sellouts or whatever, just don't take them seriously because they don't know what good music is. But yeah, so speaking of that, the only actual song that comes close to original Green Day is actually the song Sugar Youth, which kind of, I can tell that they kind of base it off Saint Jimmy, which, I mean, it's still not really a great song, but out of all of the other songs you will hear on this album, it's only a 26 or so minute album, by the way, so even though it was a very short album, it still felt like an eternity to listen through all of this. But Sugar Youth is a track I will mention that if you want to hear the track that closely resembles old Green Day, that is Sugar Youth. So you kind of get like, the usual Green Day guitar riffs, the drumming, that's pretty much old Green Day. So Sugar Youth is around, I think it was let me check, I think it was the seventh track of the album, I believe. So that's like already more than the halfway marks. Yeah, I just double checked just now. It is the seventh track. So comes after Stab You in the Heart, for example, which they also have some guitarists, but it's also ruined again with that falsetto and those clapping noises, which have no place in this album at all. I mean, in my personal opinion, they don't. So then we go to Junkies on a High, which we can kind of say that it kind of is like Boulevard of Broken Dreams, but more like a bland recreation of it with pretty much very few, if none, no redeeming qualities to this song. And it kind of where Green Day loses track of their own sound. It's like they don't really know what they want this album to even sound like. Some of them are like slow like this, and some are fast, which I can tell before in old Green Day albums how their songs flow well, but in this album it's pretty much all over the place. So like I said before, we are now at Junkies on a High, and there is still only one song in this entire album that I even would recommend. That would be Sugar Youth, which even compared to other Green Day songs, it is nowhere near as good. But compared to Father of All standards, Sugar Youth would be probably the number one, either that or Graffitia. So now we go to the actual album closer, Graffitia, which is kind of like Are We the Waiting and I Fought the Law combined into one song, I guess, which the tempo of the song is not too fast, but also not too slow. Um, Typical ugly falsetto vocals again. It's really much been present throughout the album, and I know I keep ranting about it, but it really does not work for Billy. I know that some of these songs sound better live because in this album it's over-processed a bunch of... Oh, that's actually one thing I want to talk about, the album sound itself. Like, in Revolution Radio, there were some parts of the album where it gets really loud and really soft, but I was expecting that to be fixed in this album, but not only is the problem still there, but the songs are not even good enough to make up for that flaw. So it's just like, who approved this kind of, like, I actually remember people were saying, like, let me give an example. People were actually thinking that this album was a joke album, which I honestly the first time I heard it, I honestly was hoping that, like, I still had some hope in me that this was a joke album and that Green Day would release a groundbreaking record because they just wanted to troll. I think it was Warner Reprise, I believe, that these people were trying to say that they were trying to troll by releasing this album. And honestly, I was hoping that was the case, but now coming to around September 2020, well, we know that's the real album, and it is a pretty big disappointment. Now, onto my final thoughts about this album. So, Father of All, basically, half of the album basically sounds like what porn would be if it were an audiobook. I mean, like, Billy's vocals, like, woohoo! You know, throughout the entire album, the ugly falsetto, basically like this.
This guy moaned at least this loud. Oh!
Even discounting those ugly vocals, because I've already said a lot about them, but this album, when it comes to stripping away the vocals, even the instruments, nothing was really redeemable about it. Uninspired guitar riffs, boring, bland, and the mixing was terrible. Just like Revolution Radio, the mixing was bad, but at least Revolution Radio had some good music to make up for it. So, unlike this album, which has pretty much no redeeming factors to it, and as a result, this album is such garbage. So, I pretty much dedicate the song Platypus I Hate You to this whole album, because that is pretty much how my feelings are about this jumbled mess. My final rating for this album is definitely going to be a 0 out of 10. Unfortunately, I know I'm a big Green Day fan, so you may be wondering, but Raphael, why would you give that such a low rating? In fact, that is probably the lowest rating I could give, right? Well, unfortunately, coming from my favorite band, they produced this garbage, so as I'm trying to be as honest as possible in this review, I will not make an exception for even my favorite band. And unfortunately, no matter who releases this album, I would have rated it the same way, because it is just, this album is disgusting. I mean, it is one of the worst, definitely the worst Green Day album to date, even worse than the trilogy. So, unfortunately, 2020 did not really start off well for Green Day, but let's see if their newer albums can at least step it up in quality, but I'm not gonna hold my hopes up for too high. So, thank you very much for watching. This is the review for Father of All. If you agreed or disagreed, simply leave your opinion in the comments, and if you want to add me on Skype, it's right on the screen right now. If you want to talk to me about this topic, or if you wish to talk about something else, or suggest to me a video topic that you want me to put on my channel. So, thank you again for watching. This is xxRafael Productions signing out.